Dear students, the next topic is common drain or a source follower amplifier. So in this slide, you'll come to know why the common drain amplifier is called as a source follower. So first, let us look at the circuit diagram. So here, as you know, so at the input side, V signal is fed through the coupling capacitor CC1 and V out is connected with the coupling capacitor CC2. Okay, here you are not connecting any resistance at the drain terminal. Since the drain is to function as a signal ground, there is no need for the resistance RD and it has been therefore removed. Okay, so the input signal is coupled with the capacitor CC1 and the output signal is coupled via capacitor CC2. And next, look at this load resistance. RL is in effect connected in series with the source terminal of the transistor. It is more convenient to use MOSFET's T model. Okay, so this is the basic circuit diagram. Okay, so next, this is the equivalent small signal equivalent diagram of this circuit, and here we are modeled this as a T circuit. Okay, so this circuit is derived from the circuit itself. So here the term R0 is added when the channel and modulation is considered, channel and modulation effect is considered, then this R0 is included. Okay, so the same thing, the circuit is not having any difference, the same V signal and R in, and this is the output V out and RL. As you can see here, V signal and R in, the gate resistance RG, this is the gate terminal, this is the drain terminal, here the drain current. Okay, so here the source terminal, here we are taking the output V out across this RL. Okay, so next, so analysis of the circuit is straightforward and proceed as follows. The input signal Rin is given by Rin is equal to Rg. Let us look at the circuit. So here it is clear from the small signal circuit diagram. From the small signal circuit diagram itself we are writing all the equations. Okay, so here Rin is equal to Rg, it is connected to ground. Okay, so therefore the input resistance is nothing but the gate resistance. Rin is equal to Rg, and thus what is V in? So you can see at the circuit. So what is V in? So the total voltage applied here is V signal from the voltage divider rule. So V in is the voltage across this Rg. So we can write Vi is equal to resistance in this terminal Rg divided by Rg plus resistance in other branch, that is R signal, into total voltage V signal. So therefore we will write Vi is equal to V signal into Rg divided by Rg plus R signal, or else we can write Rg and Rin are same, we can write Rin divided by Rin plus R signal into total voltage V signal. So the entire this equation we are writing just by voltage divider rule, nothing else. So next, usually Rg is selected to be much larger than R signal. So when we choose Rg value to be more than R signal, what happens? Denominator value is very large. Okay, that is denominator Rg value is very large. So this R signal value is very much negligible. So denominator and numerator cancels. So we remain with Vi almost equal to V signal. So this is the expression. Okay, so next our next step is to write this output expression V out. So again we will come back to the circuit. So RL one end is connected to V out. Similarly R0 resistance one end is connected to same the source terminal. Okay, V out is also driven from the source terminal. So RL is also connected to this terminal. Other end of the RL is connected to ground. Similarly other end of the R0 is also connected to ground. So we can say that RL and this resistance R0 are connected in parallel combination. Okay, so this parallel combination is in series with what resistance? 1 over Gm. Okay, So to this entire branch, what is the voltage that we are driving? What is the voltage that we are giving? That is the signal Vin. So again from the same voltage divider rule, can we write the equation for V out? Yes. Okay. So what is the voltage at this node, this branch? So what is the voltage here? RL. What is the resistance here? RL parallel with R0. Numerator RL parallel with R0 divided by RL parallel with R0 plus what is the another resistance in series with this combination? 1 plus GM into what is the total voltage that we are giving? V in. So look here, yes, we are getting V out is equal to RL parallel with R0 divided by RL parallel with R0 plus 1 over GM into total voltage, that is V in. Okay. So this is the expression. Okay, so we can write the gain AV as V out by V signal. So we remain with the gain expression, this one. Okay, so open circuit voltage gain, we are neglecting the load resistance for open circuit voltage gain. When we neglect the load resistance, we remain with this expression. So neglecting the load resistance is nothing but RL is equal to infinity. RL is equal to infinity. If we substitute here in this expression, so when we are finding the parallel combination, 1 over infinity is 0. So RL can be neglected here. So this is the open circuit gain, voltage gain. AVO is equal to R0 divided by R0 plus 1 over G. Okay. So next, further, R0 value is chosen such that it is very much larger than 1 over Gm. If it is true, then what happens? This numerator and denominator are almost equal. Again it cancels. So we will get open circuit voltage gain is almost equal to unity. When voltage gain is unity, then what happens? V in is equal to V out. That is, we will come back to the circuit. So where we are giving V in? We are giving V in to the gate terminal. Where we are getting output? We are getting output at the source terminal. Whatever the voltage we feed at the gate terminal, we are getting exactly the same voltage at the source terminal. Hence, for common drain amplifier circuit, then it is also called as a source follower. Why source follower? Whatever the voltage we give at the gate, so is obtained at the source. Okay, right? The voltage at the source follows at the gate, giving the circuit the popular name source follower. Okay, so in many discrete applications, R0 is greater than RL. So we can write this expression approximated by, so here we are neglecting this R0. So we can write AV is equal to RL divided by RL plus 1 over Gm. Okay. So then we need to write overall voltage gain. So overall voltage gain is derived from the combining the two expression, that is this previous expression. Okay, V in is equal to Vi is equal to V signal into Rg divided by Rg plus R signal, and another expression, that is AV is equal to RL parallel. When we combine these two expressions, we are getting the overall voltage gain Gv. Okay, so this overall voltage gain Gv approaches to unity when Rg is very much greater than R signal. Similarly, R0 is made very much larger than 1 over Gm, and R0 is very much larger than RL. Then overall voltage gain is also approaches to unity. So here this is the circuit where we are directly performing a small signal analysis on the circuit diagram itself. So this is the small signal analysis, this is the basic circuit. So we are just applying the small signal circuit on the basic circuit itself. Okay, so this is the circuit to find the equivalent resistance, that is R out. Okay, so how this is just the Thevenin's equivalent circuit from which we are finding the resistance. So Thevenin's equivalent circuit, what we are doing, we are making this voltage circuit, voltage source as short circuit and current source as open circuit. So look at the small signal diagram. So this is replaced by short circuit and this is replaced by open circuit. Okay, similarly, so we are getting this circuit. Okay, so what is R out? Looking into the circuit. So here supposed to be the current source, so we are keeping it as a open circuit. So when we look into the circuit from the output side, so what is R out? R out is just a parallel combination of R naught and 1 over Gm. Okay, therefore R out is equal to R naught parallel with 1 over Gm. So next, the circuit for determining the R out is shown in the diagram. So therefore R out is equal to 1 over Gm. So again, so R naught is chosen very much greater than this 1 over Gm. So then what happens? This is a parallel combination. So what happens? R naught into 1 over Gm divided by R naught plus 1 over Gm. So when the denominator R naught value is very much greater than this, so what happens? Numerator and this R naught value is very much negligible. So R naught is as good as 1 over Gm. Okay. So which indicates that R out will be moderately low. So we observe that although the source follower circuit has large amount of internal feedback, its Rin is dependent of RL and its R out is independent of R signal. Okay, Rin is independent of RL, therefore we can write Ri is equal to Rin. And also R out is independent of R signal, so we can write R naught is equal to R out. The reason for this is, however, a zero gate resistance. As you observed in the circuit, the current into the gate terminal is 0. So therefore we can write R out is equal to R naught. So in conclusion, the source follower features a very high input impedance and relatively low output impedance. If you take ideal op-amp characteristics also, so input, it should have high input impedance and low output impedance. So here the same in this amplifier also, and the voltage gain is less but close to unity. So if you compare the voltage gain, since it is a source follower, it's almost equal to unity or sometimes less than unity, 0.99 something, very close to unity. It finds its application in situation in which we need to connect a voltage signal source that is providing a signal for reasonable magnitude but has a very high internal resistance to much smaller than a load resistance, that is unity gain voltage buffer amplifier. So this point is about where we are using this source follower. What source follower does? Whatever the voltage we provide at the gate terminal, the same voltage we are obtaining at the source terminal. So whatever the input is, the same thing we are getting at the output. The gain is unity here. So it find its application in voltage buffer. You might know what is voltage buffer since from your basic electronics. So what voltage buffer does? Whatever the input we give, same thing we'll get at the output. So in the voltage buffer we normally use this source follower type of amplifier. Okay. So next, the source follower is also used as an output stage in a multi-stage amplifier. Suppose we are not using a single amplifier, instead if we are using a multi-stage, one after the other, many amplifier circuit. So in that case also we are making use of this source follower type of amplifier, okay, where its function is to equip the overall amplifier with a low output resistance, thus enabling it to supply relatively large load currents without a loss of gain. So this is the purpose why we are using a source follower. So next is single stage. This is just a revision, all these slides are. So single stage MOS amplifier and its related expression. So first we learnt single stage MOS amplifier without source resistance. Next, with source resistance, and just now we discussed the common source, common drain or a source follower type of a amplifier. Okay, so this is the circuit diagram of a common drain or a source follower type of a amplifier and its related expression. So next is MOSFET internal capacitances and high frequency model. Okay, so that is, so here, so nominally we use two capacitance, CC1 and CC2. So other than this also there are some internal capacitances which may be connected. Okay, so we have not considered the critical path of those capacitance. Suppose we are getting output here. Okay, so here the initially this capacitor has to charge in order to get the output here. Then even the output is not available, so whatever the charge stored in the capacitor is utilized, still we are able to see the output. So here that continuously charging and discharging takes place. Okay, so we need to, so that is time through those capacitance must be considered, then only we are able to track the output, exact output. Okay, so we know that the device has internal capacitances. We used one of these, that is gate to channel capacitance, in our derivation of the MOSFET. So however, we assume that the steady state charges on these capacitance are acquired instantaneously. So we did not account for finite time required to charge and discharge the various internal capacitances. Till now we have not considered how much time it may take to charge and discharge the various internal capacitances. So what happens? As a result, the device models we derived, such as small signal models, do not include any such capacitances. Whatever the small signal model we have derived till now, it does not include any such internal capacitance and their paths. Okay, so the use of these models would predict a constant amplifier gain independent of frequency. So we know, however, that this is not the case. In fact, the gain of every MOSFET amplifier fall off at some high frequency. Similarly, the MOSFET digital logic inverter exhibits a finite non-zero propagation delay. To be able to predict these results, the MOSFET must be augmented by including the internal capacitance. It's very important to consider these internal capacitances and time for charging and discharging for these capacitances. Okay, so first there are two such capacitive effect. First we learn the first type, that is gate capacitive effect. Okay, so gate capacitive effect can be modeled by the three capacitances. Okay, so near the gate we find the three internal capacitances. First one CGS, that is capacitance from gate to source, CGD capacitance from gate to drain, and the another one CGB capacitance from gate to body or the substrate. So these the values of these capacitors can be determined as follows. Okay, so as you know, the MOSFET operates in three regions: the triode region, saturation region, and the cutoff region. So first point, when the MOSFET is operating in triode region, so triode region, what happens? When we are applying input, raising the input slowly, we are giving the voltage slowly. So when we apply a small VDS, the channel will be of uniform depth. So channel is of uniform depth. Channel is just formed and it is of the uniform depth. Okay, so that's why what happened, the gate channel capacitance will be calculated, will be WLCOX, and it can be modeled by dividing it equally between the source and drain. So when it is of the uniform depth, so we need to take CGS and CGD are equal, so that is 1/2. So therefore CGS is equal to CGD is equal to 1 by 2 WL when it is of uniform length. If it is operating in triode region, then both capacitance are equal, that is 1 by 2 WL Similarly, if the MOSFET is operating in saturation region, then the channel is not uniform. Instead, the channel is of which shape? Tapered shape, and it is pinched off at which terminal? Pinched off near drain terminal. Since it is pinched off near drain terminal, there is no capacitance at the drain terminal. Okay, so CGD is equal to 0. Okay, so next CGS is equal to 2/3 of WLCOX. Okay, so remember, when it is operating in triode region, channel is uniform depth, both the capacitance are equal, that is equal to 1 by 2 WLCOX. When it is operating in saturation region, channel is of tapered shape and it is pinched off near drain terminal. Therefore, the gate to drain capacitance is 0, and CGS, source gate to source capacitance value is 2/3 of WLCOX. Now, when it is operating in cutoff region, CGS and CGD are 0. Okay, because we are not giving any input, and gate to source and gate to drain capacitance value is 0. However, gate to body or a substrate capacitance is given as WLCOX. Okay. Similarly, the next capacitance we mentioned here is a overlap capacitance. So, overlap capacitance is given by WL overlap into oxide capacitance COX. Okay. So, what is this overlap length? L overlap is given by 0.05 to 0.1 times the length of the channel. Okay, L and W are nothing but length of the channel, W is nothing but width of the channel, COX is the oxide capacitance. Okay, it is usually expressed in farad per micrometer square. Per length we are defining this oxide capacitance. So the next, so till now we discussed what? Gate capacitance. What are the values of these three capacitance in the three region: triode region, saturation region and the cutoff region. So next we are learning what is the junction capacitance. Okay, so we are having the two junction. One is what? Source to, so here source to body capacitance CSB, then drain to body capacitance. Body is nothing but substrate. Okay, so depletion layer capacitance are of two reverse bias PN junction formed between each of the source and drain diffusion, and the body can be determined by using the formula. Thus the source diffusion we have, for source diffusion we have one capacitance. What is capacitance from source to substrate, source to body? CSB is nothing but CSB naught divided by square root of 1 plus VSB by V naught. What is CSB naught? It is the value of CSB at 0 body source bias, and where VSB is the magnitude of reverse bias and V naught is the junction built-in voltage, usually in the range 0.6 to 0.8. So all these are very important while solving the problems. We need to know this formula. So next is one more junction capacitance, that is drain to body capacitance. First junction capacitance is source to body capacitance, that is CSB naught divided by square root of 1 plus VSB by V naught. Similarly, drain to body capacitance is given by this formula. So what is CdB naught? CdB naught is a capacitance value at 0 reverse bias voltage, and VdB is nothing but magnitude of the reverse bias voltage, and as you know what is V naught? Junction built-in voltage. Okay. So we are assumed for both junction the grading coefficient M is 1 by 2. So next it should be noted that each of these junction capacitance include the component arising from the bottom side of the diffusion and the component arising from the side wall of the diffusion. So if we look at the MOSFET and its various diffusion region, so these junction capacitance are arising from both a bottom side as well as the side wall of the diffusion region. So in this regard, we observe that each diffusion has 3 side walls that are in contact with the substrate and thus contribute to the junction capacitance. In more advanced MOSFET modeling, the two components of the junction capacitance are calculated separately and the formula of junction capacitance assume a small signal operation. So these assumes a small signal operation. So this formula, however, can be modified to obtain approximate average value for the capacitance when the transistor is operating under large signal conditions such as in logic circuits. Okay, next is high frequency MOSFET model. So here we discussed about the MOSFET internal capacitance. First is gate capacitance, next is junction capacitance. So next we are learning high frequency MOSFET model. Okay, so MOSFET in the high frequency operation. Okay, so here in the small signal MOSFET, so we are including a 4 capacitances now, which we were ignored till now. Now we are including. So it is gate to source capacitance, gate to drain capacitances, then source to substrate junction capacitance, drain to substrate junction capacitance. Okay, so here we are including all those capacitances. Okay, so this is a high frequency equivalent circuit model of the same amplifier what we have discussed. Okay, so gate to drain, gate to source capacitance and the 2 junction capacitance, source to substrate, drain to substrate. B is nothing but substrate or a body. Okay, so this is a small high frequency equivalent circuit model for the MOSFET. So next circuit, the the equivalent circuit for the case in which the source is connected to the substrate itself. So here the source and substrate both are connected together. So here they are separate, now they are connected. Source and substrate are same. Okay, so that's why we are removing one capacitance, that is CSB is removed, where all the capacitances we are retaining. See the equivalent circuit of the B with CDB neglected. So in the third circuit we are again neglecting this CDB and writing this circuit as it is. So that is the high frequency model. So next is about the frequency response of the CS amplifier. So this is the frequency response of the common source amplifier. So here there are the 3 frequency bands. Okay, so since we will be dealing with the voltages, currents that are the functions of frequency, voltage and currents we are defining as a function of frequency. More generally, the complex frequency variable, we use the uppercase letter VGS, VD and V0. 3 frequency band, we are just recalling the same circuit. So these 2 are the coupling capacitance, this is the source capacitance, that is CS. Okay, so these are the 3 frequency bands. What are the first band? Low frequency band. So here comes the mid band and next is the high frequency band. Okay, so this is the response curve we obtained as a result of this circuit. Okay, frequency response curve. So on x-axis it is a frequency, on y-axis it is V out by V signal. So it is a frequency response curve. So as you learnt in resonance circuits in network analysis, so before the cutoff frequency, the curve was different. Okay, before the center frequency, XC is greater than XL. After the center frequency, XL is greater than XC. So here the capacitance effect is large. So gain fall off due to the effect of these coupling capacitance. Here also gain fall due to the effect of CGS and CGD. Here this is due to the effect of this coupling capacitance and the source capacitance. Okay, so this is frequency versus the gain. V out by V signal is your gain expressed in dB. So what are the three frequency band? Low frequency band, mid band and the high frequency band. Okay, so it was assumed that coupling capacitors CC1 and CC2 and the bypass capacitance CS were acting as perfect short circuits at all signal frequency of interest. We also neglected that internal capacitance of the MOSFET such as CGS and CGD of the MOSFET high frequency model. So here in figure B, which shows the sketch of the magnitude of the gain, okay, of CS amplifier versus the frequency. So we observe that the gain is almost constant over a frequency band called mid band. So here you can see that what is mid band? From FL to FH. From FL to FH we'll see the mid band. So in this mid band the frequency is almost constant. Okay. The value of this mid band AM is given by mid band gain is given by gain is nothing but V out by V signal. Mid band gain AM is equal to V out by V signal. That is equal to given by this expression, that is Rg divided by Rg plus R signal into Gm into R naught parallel with Rd parallel with RL. Okay. So figure also shows that gains falls off at signal frequencies below and above the mid band, and the gain fall off is in the low frequency is due to what? C1, C2 and CS, and also gain fall off at high frequency band is as a result of these capacitance, that is CGS and CGD. Okay. So we'll be able to determine the two frequency FH and FL, okay, from this mid band. Okay, so once we know the FL and FH, we are able to determine the bandwidth. Bandwidth is given by FH minus FL. Okay, so usually the lower frequency FL is very much less than the higher frequency. Okay, or we can just say that bandwidth is nothing but only the higher frequency FH. Okay, then the figure of merit, gain bandwidth product. Gain bandwidth product is defined like this: G into B, gain into bandwidth. This product is given by magnitude of the mid band gain AM into its bandwidth. Okay, so next is high frequency response. So again we are recalling the same circuit and its frequency response small signal equivalent circuit. Okay, to determine the gain or the transfer function of the amplifier at high frequency, particularly at 3 dB frequency FH, we replace the MOSFET with its high frequency model. So this is the high frequency model. So here we are only concentrating at the high frequency of operation, that is at FH. So here at high frequency it is due to, we are considering the two capacitances. Okay, the gain fall off because of these two capacitances, that is CGS and CGD. So at these frequencies we are neglecting these capacitance, coupling capacitance and the bypass capacitance CC1, CC2 and the bypass capacitance CS. So these three capacitance we are not considering, means they are behaving as perfect short circuit. Okay, so result is the high frequency amplifier equivalent circuit is shown here. Okay, so determining the high frequency CS amplifier, So this is the small signal equivalent circuit, okay, and this is the input and the output, both are shown. So considering all V signal, V out, all these coupling capacitances, this resistance, drain resistance, R signal, gate resistance, okay, right. So all the capacitance CGS and CGD, okay. So and near the output, load resistance, drain resistance, and the channel length modulation effect is considered, then we are considering this R naught as well, okay. So equivalent circuit simplified on the input and output. So on the circuit itself, okay, we are just writing the small signal components as well, okay. V in, here is the V out, okay. So VGS we are applying near the capacitance. So here the connected the capacitance CGS. So we are deriving output from the capacitance CGD, okay. So equivalent circuit can be simplified by utilizing the Thevenin's theorem at the input side and by combining the three parallel resistance at the output side. So equivalent circuit of this is obtained by a Thevenin circuit at the input side. So instead of connecting many resistances, any number of sources can be reduced to a single source and a single resistance, okay. So where voltage of the voltage source is found by Thevenin's equivalent voltage. So the Thevenin's equivalent voltage what we obtained is here. The Thevenin's equivalent resistance what we obtained at the input side is given by this value, R dash signal is equal to R signal parallel with RGT. These two resistances are connected in parallel, okay. So this circuit can be further simplified. We can find a way to deal with bridging capacitor CGD that connects at the output node to the input side. Toward the end, consider first the output node. It can be seen that load current is GM_VGS minus ID, okay. So the load current So here comes the load terminal. So the load terminal here the load current will flow. So that load current is given as GM_VGS minus IGD. So here GM_VGS current is flowing towards the ground. So what is the current into this node? That is ID. So what is the current that will be left at the load terminal? So this IGD current minus GM_VGS, the remaining current will flow to the load terminal. So that is what they have given, GM_VGS minus ID. GM_VGS minus ID. So that is current near the load terminal is that, okay. So where GM_VGS is the output current of the transistor and IGD is the current supplied through the very small capacitance CGD. What is this? IGD is a very small current through this CGD, okay. So at frequencies in the vicinity of FH, which defines the edge of the midband, it is reasonable to assume that IGD is still much smaller than GM_VGS. With the result, V out could be approximated by, so we will write V out as GM_VGS into RL dash, okay. So we can write this V out as GM_VGS I into R, GM_VGS into RL, GM_VGS into RL, okay. So what is RL? Where RL dash is a Thevenin's equivalent resistance. So RL dash is equal to R naught by. So therefore RL dash is a Thevenin's resistance which is given by Thevenin's equivalent resistance R naught parallel with RD parallel with RL. Okay. Since V out is equal to VDS, look at this circuit. So RL dash is parallel combination of all three Thevenin's equivalent resistance. These three are connected in parallel. And what is V out? V out is the voltage that is connected from drain to source terminal. Okay. So here V out is equal to voltage from drain to source terminal, VDS. So in this expression indicates that gain from gate to drain is minus GM into RL dash, the same value as in the mid band, and the current IGD can be now found as. So this is nothing but GM into RL dash. Okay. And IGD can be found as, so here IGD we are representing. So what is that IGD value? So IGD value is given as SCGD into VGS minus V naught. What is V out? V out, from this expression we are substituting. Okay. So therefore this, since we are substituting and solving, so we get IGD as SCGD into 1 plus GM RL dash into VGS. Okay. So the equivalent circuit of CGD replaced at the input side with the equivalent capacitance C equal. Okay. So here this is the capacitance that we have added here, C equivalent. Okay. So here we are connecting a C equivalent capacitance. Okay. So what is C equivalent? How we are finding? C equivalent is equal to CGD into 1 plus GM into RL dash. Okay. This one. So next is the frequency response plot, which is that of the low pass signal time constant circuit. So if we plot the frequency response curve for this circuit, so this is the response we are obtaining. So this is just similar to your low pass filter. It will pass the frequency before this particular frequency FH, and after that it will be not passing the signal. Okay, so this is the frequency response curve of low pass signal. Will pass up to this frequency, after this it will not pass the signal. So the gain is now decreasing after this particular frequency. Okay. So now the left hand side of the circuit, so at x dash knows of the existence of CGD only through the current IGD, therefore we can replace CGD by its equivalent capacitance C equal between the gate and ground, as long as C equal draws the current IGD, that is, so here they have replaced the C equal capacitance. So we are now determining what is it. Okay. So SC equal into VGS can be written as C equivalent can be found by this expression. Okay. So the common terms are cancelled, so we remain C equivalent as CGD into 1 plus GM into RL dash. C equivalent is equal to CGD into 1 plus GM into RL dash. Okay. So next, from the previous expression using the relation, we can write VGS as RG divided by RG plus R signal into V signal. So frequency response. So 1 divided by 1 plus S over omega. Okay. So here the pole components we are, poles and zeros components, short time constants we are using. So where omega naught is the corner frequency or the outbreak of STC circuit. Okay. So here STC is nothing but short time constant circuit. So where this omega naught is given by 1 divided by RC. RC is R dash signal and CN. What is the C in? C in is nothing but CGS plus C equivalent. What is C equivalent? From this expression again we are substituting. C equivalent is substituted from this expression. Okay, so we can write C in is equal to CGS plus CGD into 1 plus Dm into R dash. So and then R signal dash is given by R signal parallel with Rg. Okay, so next, so we are interested in finding the ratio V out by V signal. V out is the output we are obtaining, V signal is the input that we supplied. Okay, so it is minus Rg divided by Rg plus R signal into Gm RL dash divided by 1 plus S divided by omega. How we are obtained this expression? Just by combining these two expressions. This expression and this expression, output expression V out is equal to minus Gm RL dash Gs. This expression is combined with this expression. Okay, so we are obtaining this ratio. Okay, so which can be expressed as, okay, so this is a mid band gain. Okay, V out by V signal is equal to, so this is nothing but mid band. So as we have written, what is AM? AM is equal to minus Rg divided by Rg plus R signal into GMR. So we will representing this as AM. So denominator as it is. So where the mid band gain AM is given by the previous slides what we mentioned, and WH is the upper 3 dB frequency. So WH is equal to W naught, that is equal to, so this is called as cutoff frequency. This is given as 1 divided by C in into R signal dash. So this is in terms of radians. If we want to write in terms of hertz, it is divided by 2 pi. Okay, omega h divided by 2 pi. So this is the expression, the same expression. This is in radians, so now we are obtaining in hertz. Okay, so here are the some points what we have discussed. Okay, so next is low frequency response curve. Okay, so consider the circuit for low frequency curve. So this is the circuit we are using to determine the low frequency response. To determine the low frequency response transfer function, the common source amplifier circuit is shown. Okay, circuit with the DC sources eliminated. So here VDD and VSS are connected to ground. So we are observing the circuit in low frequency. We shall perform the small signal analysis directly on the circuit. However, we ignore the channel and modulation effect, that is R0. This is done in order to keep the analysis simple and focus on the attention on significant issues. So the analysis begins at the signal generator by finding the fraction of V signal that appear at the transistor rate. Okay, transistor gate. Okay, transistor gate, what is the gate signal voltage? Vg. So Vg can be determined by V signal into Rg divided by Rg plus 1 divided by CC1 S into CC1 plus R signal. So which can be written in the alternate form, just dividing, just factorizing the terms, and we can write like this. So thus we can see that the expression of the signal transformation from signal generator to the amplifier input has acquired a frequency dependent factor. Okay, so that is signal transmission from signal generator to amplifier input has acquired the frequency dependent factor. So this is acquired with the frequency dependent factor. This is a frequency dependent term we are obtaining. Thus the effect of coupling capacitor CC1 is to introduce the high pass STC So therefore omega p1 or a cutoff frequency omega naught is given by 1 over cc1 into rg plus r signal. Okay. So continuing with the analysis, we next determine the drain current id by dividing Vg by the total impedance in the circuit, which is 1 over Gm plus 1 over S plus Cs. So from the circuit, so we are writing this id as Vg divided by these two impedances. Okay, so which can be written in the alternate form as id is equal to, so just taking the LCM, so we are going to write Gm into Vg divided by S plus Gn divided by Cs. We observe that Cs introduces a frequency dependent factor, okay, so which is also of STC high pass type. Thus the amplifier acquires another break frequency omega p2. So where omega p2 is equal to Gn divided by Cs. To complete the analysis, we need to find we find V out first using the current divider rule to determine the id that flows through the RL. So using the current divider rule, we are writing this I naught. Okay, we are writing this I naught by the current divider rule. Okay, here is our I naught. So all those expressions is written by using this circuit diagram. So I naught is equal to minus id into Rd divided by Rd plus this expression. So here is the current in that resistance in other branch is Rd divided by sum of resistances, okay, into total current is Id. Okay. So then by multiplying I naught by RL, so we are obtaining V out is equal to, so this expression is multiplied by RL, so we I into R is nothing but V out, so we are obtaining V out as this expression. Okay, so from which we can we see that SCE, that CC2 is introduces a third STC high pass factor, giving the amplifier a third break frequency. Now we are getting omega p3, omega p1 we saw, omega p2, now the third break frequency, that is omega p3. So omega p3 is given by this one, the third break factor, third term. So this is the third term we are obtaining, that is 1 divided by CC2 into Rd plus RL. Okay, so the overall frequency transfer function is obtained by combining all the expression, that is previous expression, and replacing the break frequencies by their symbol form. So we can write V out by V signal as this expression. Okay, so you are combining all the previous expressions in order to get this. Okay, so the low frequency magnitude response curve can be obtained from this expression. Okay, that is V out by V signal, this expression, but just by replacing S by j omega, we are replacing S by j omega and finding V out by V signal. So thus we are finding low frequency magnitude response. Okay, so next, in many cases, however, one of the three break frequencies can be much higher than the other two. So we have a three break frequencies, say omega p1, omega p2 and omega p3. So one of these frequencies is much higher than the other two frequencies. So say by a factor greater than 4, so it is 4 times greater than the other two frequencies. In such a case, it is the highest frequency break point that will determine the lower 3 dB frequency Fn. and we do not have to do any additional hand analysis. Okay, so because the expression omega p2 include gm, omega p2 is usually higher than omega p1 and omega. Out of three break frequencies, omega p1, omega p2 and omega p3, omega p2 is usually higher than the other two. If omega p2 is sufficiently separated from these two frequencies, then we can write FL is equal to FP2. Okay, so this frequency value is very much higher than the other two frequency. It is 4 times magnitude greater than these two frequencies. Okay, so FP2 is equal to FL. Okay, so this is the sketch for low frequency magnitude response of the CS amplifier. So this is shown in this circuit diagram. This is frequency versus gain, that is for the curve obtained for the response curve obtained for this particular circuit. Okay, this is the low frequency response. So we are able to quickly find the time constants and hence the break frequencies, that is omega p1, omega p2 and omega p3 associated with each of the three capacitances. Procedure is simple. First step is reduce the V signal to 0. We need to connect V signal to ground, that is V signal to 0. Consider each capacitance separately, that is assume that the other two capacitances are acting as perfect short circuit. When we are considering one particular capacitance, the other two capacitances are to be treated as 0 or they are considered as short circuit. For each capacitor, find the total resistance seen between its terminal. This resistance determines its time constant associated with this capacitor. So these are the steps to be followed in order to find the values. Okay. So the next topic is oscillator. Okay. So here the first oscillator we are learning is FET based phase shift oscillator. Till now we were discussed the circuits which consist of MOSFET, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. So this is also FET based phase shift oscillator, the oscillator circuit. This is the oscillator circuit which is based on the FETs, okay, field effect transistor. The circuit consists of an amplifier and a feedback network. So it consists of this FET and a feedback network. As you can see here, here is the output. So again from the output we have a feedback circuit here. This is a feedback circuit. Again output is again given back to the input terminal. So this is the feedback. So amplifier is self-biased with the capacitor bypassed source resistor and a drain resistor. So here it is bypassed by source resistor and a drain resistor, and feedback consists of three cascaded RC section. This is first RC section, second RC section, third RC section, cascaded one after the other they are connected. Okay. So this is the basic circuit diagram of FET based phase shift oscillator circuit. Okay. As shown, the feedback voltage Vf is available at the output of the last RC section. So here Vf is available at the output of the last RC section. This is a Vf across this resistance. So as FET amplifier provides a phase shift of 180 degree, phase shift has to be provided by a feedback network to obtain a total phase shift to 360 degree around the loop. So FET amplifier will provide the phase shift of 180 degree. Okay. So 180 degree phase shift has to be provided to obtain a total phase shift of 360 degree. Feedback circuit is also connected. So FET amplifier must provide a phase shift of 180 degree such that so it will cover 360 degree around the loop. So thus the each RC section has to be designed